Welcome to Spotlight on the Community, which focuses on nonprofits in the community and topics of concern to Southern California. 95.5 KLOS, Southern California's best rock. I'm Cynthia Fox. Usually I'm on KLOS Monday through Friday, right after Mark and Brian. Happy New Year. We want to thank engineer Herman and producer Sammy for today's show. And we begin today with a little bit of music you heard from the album Making Movies, Dire Straits' Espresso Love. Well, the reason we chose the album Making Movies is there's a really cool opportunity for those of you out there who are student filmmakers to be part of a really nice competition put together by Glendale Arts. And we've got Elissa Glickman, who's the general manager of Glendale Arts, on the phone with us right now to tell us about this great idea. It's called, I believe it's My City?
My Art, My City.
My Art, My City, which is fantastic. But first, I suppose we should tell everybody a little bit about the fine work that you do through Glendale Arts.
Oh, thank you. Well, we started off as a management company that manages the historic Alex Theater in Glendale, California. The Alex was built in 1925. It was a vaudeville house and a movie house, and now it's a performing arts center. And then over the last couple of years, we expanded our mission to not only manage the venue, but also do programming in the community as well as the Alex. And then we launched a community website, which is essentially Facebook for local artists. And artists can set up profiles and submit their work. They can write blogs. And then recently we launched this film campaign to get students more engaged in the rich artistic community of essentially the Tri-City area. So it would be Burbank, Glendale, La Cañada, La Crescenta, and the surrounding areas.
Which is great because we're all very aware of how arts curriculum has been cut back in the schools. So I'm glad that you're there to kind of encourage people to be thinking along those lines and kind of supporting the artistic dreams in the artistic community.
Well, it's such a sad state of affairs with regards to arts and arts funding. You know, the state of California is actually last in how much the state gives to arts education and arts programming. I think it's something like 3 to 6 cents per person per year, when we fall well behind states like Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama. So for us, one of the biggest things that we find is that without arts education and without investing in the arts, not only are we losing a tremendous economic opportunity for our community, but we're losing an opportunity to build patrons and appreciators of the arts in the future. Mm-hmm. So we're really missing the boat on a lot of fronts.
Plus, it's an opportunity to sustain these kids who are in school who are artists, who are may not even be aware that they are artists, you know, because if that side of them hasn't been nurtured and encouraged, they may not know they have a tremendous amount of potential.
Absolutely. And, you know, there was an article that came out by a very well-known economist, David Brooks, about 6 or 8 months ago, and he talked about in recessionary times, most students, even if they've identified themselves as artists, don't pick an artistic path. They look for something that they or their parents consider, in quotations, more sensible, like economics or mathematics, when their true passion and their true calling is some sort of artistic endeavor. So we're also losing out on future Picassos and future Buccellis. I mean, it's a devastating current change of events for the arts community.
What would you like to say directly to the parents, though? Because parents are always trying to protect their kids. And let's say they have children that really have an artistic passion and inclination. Maybe the parents themselves don't, or maybe they have unfulfilled, dreams, or they didn't go that path. How do you kind of reassure parents that a student can actually pursue an artistic direction and do okay?
Well, I mean, it is very, very scary for a parent to look at their child and encourage them to take a risk or to take a leap, especially, again, when there's other more sensible paths that they paths that they perceive to be more sensible. But I think, if your kid has some talent, if you believe in your kid and you give your kid enough strength and fortitude to push forward, they'll be a success. And if they're not the next Picasso, maybe they'll be the next great arts administrator. If they're not an opera singer, maybe they'll teach opera to others. So even if they don't make it as an artist, they can still work within the profession. And as we saw over the last 2 years, all professions can be risky. Even if you go into finance, it can be risky.
Oh, yeah.
So you're really
there's no real safe haven
to not be miserable when they grow up, because you have what I often see amongst my peer groups are a bunch of frustrated artists, or people who wanted to pursue art and were discouraged from that, and they're a little bitter. And the world is a much better place when there's art in it. So you gotta be willing to take a little bit of a leap.
Well, I've always been a big supporter of arts education, because whether or not someone goes into the arts per se, just the fact that they're learning to think in different ways or creative ways or thinking in innovative ways, I think could apply to any profession. I mean, even if you don't become a professional artist, the fact that just opening yourself up to new ideas and creative insights can be applied almost anywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the great things that arts gives us is it gives us the ability to imagine and to think creatively. And that can be applied in politics. That could be applied in urban planning. That can be applied as you're looking at the environmental impacts and the things that we can build and create. So it really does give people a much more rounded sense of the community around them and a sense of self. There are numerous studies that point to arts education being integrated into school curriculum at a very early and very young age, and those students not only coming out as better academically, but they have a better sense of self. They have a better sense of imagination, and in the long term, they tend to make better employees. How do you think Google got created? It's all of those sort of out-of-the-box thinking where you have these wonderful, brilliant programmers who also had a sense of creativity. And without an arts education or some pieces of the arts instilled in us when we're very young, not only can't we appreciate it as we get older, but we really lose the boat on some of those critical thinking areas.
Very well put. And it has to be quality arts education, because I think all of us have had those horrible art classes in school in which the teacher is saying, no, you got to draw it exactly like this, and that's horrible. And then you see the budding artistic side just, wither up and hide. So it has to be done in a very quality way.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're glad that you're there to really sustain and nurture the artistic community. And the other thing I have to say very quickly is also in the popular imagination, we keep seeing, so many films come out about, the artists that overdose, the artists that die in poverty, the artists, those are the big tragic films. And I think that becomes imprinted on the consciousness instead of people realizing, no, there's plenty of people who are working in artistic professions that are happy, they're well-adjusted, they have families, they're not starving in a garret somewhere. So I think we all it needs to be almost like a consciousness-raising experience about, no, it really, it can happen, it can be healthy, you can have,
Absolutely. They just don't make very exciting films.
Exactly. But I'm saying that is what you're up against,
Absolutely.
too. When a kid starts feeling like, should I go this direction? And then you see all these movies come out, that... it's always, the tragic film, that can be scary for a kid. That can be scary for the parent of the kid and that sort of thing. So I'm glad that you're presenting this as a really healthy alternative and healthy and productive and something that is a really important part of a person's identity and development.
Well, thanks. And, one of the other pieces, because we have the benefit of having this historic 1,400-seat theater at our fingertips, one of the things that we've done over the last couple of years is work with some of the local schools to bring students to the theater for free. And we're constantly looking for underwriting so that we can bring some of our artists to the schools and some of our students who may not necessarily have the opportunity to participate in arts activities, whether through financial resources or other means, an opportunity to see art in action. And for us, that's probably the most exciting thing that we do here.
I love it. Well, we're going to have to take a brief pause, play a little music here, and come back because we've got to talk about this wonderful competition called My Art, My City, student filmmaking competition that I think is going to be really exciting because all of these submissions are going to be posted on YouTube, right?
That's correct.
And that means anyone in the KLOS audience, anyone, anywhere actually can watch these submissions and actually vote on them. So it's going to be a really great participatory sort of project.
No, we're very excited about it, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of the project with your audience.
Great. Well, we'll take a brief break. Play a little Bruce Hornsby a song called Look Out Any Window. So look out any window. It may inspire you to enter this competition called My Art, My City. We're talking with Elissa Glickman. She's the general manager of Glendale Art. Stick with us. We'll take a brief break. Back with more Spotlight on the Community coming right up at 95.5 KLOS, Southern California's Best Rock.